Reaction is given and it's balanced and everything. And what I do normally is, so this is what you need to figure out. So I'm just going to write gram, how many grams of this, okay? And then you are given aluminum. Aluminum is 114 gram. And chlorine is 186 gram. So these are given. If you are given a mole, then it's easy, and I'm not doing that because there are videos on that. And if you are given mole, then you do not need to convert it to mole, because you know that to go from one to another substance, you need to go through mole. But it's in grams, so we do need to convert it into gram. But if it's already in moles, then we don't convert. Remember that. So that's given. And we know that there are 2 moles, 3 moles, and 2 moles. So those are the things that you know. And I have molar mass. Masses of chlorine is, because it's Cl2, it is 70.90 gram per mole. And aluminum is 26.98 gram per mole. And aluminum chloride is 133.33 gram per mole. Okay, so we have all of those. Now, the first thing you need to do is, what do you need to do first thing? You need to with a balanced reaction will help you to figure out which one. You need to convert it into mole and then use that mole and then the balanced reaction. Then you can figure out which one is the limiting reagent. So let's go like step by step. The first thing is you need to convert this and these 2 moles first. Let's do that. So the aluminum is, we have 114. Just going to write it as really tiny. 114 gram of aluminum. So we're going to convert that to mole first, okay? So how are we going to convert? We have the molar mass over here. We're going to use that. So 1 mole aluminum is equal to 26.98 gram aluminum. So gram and gram cancels out. And what is our for? The answer is 4.23 mole of aluminum. That's for the aluminum. So we now know the moles of aluminum. Okay. Now we need to find the mole of chlorine. We're going to use the molar mass. We have 186 gram chlorine. And we're going to use the molar mass, which is 1 mole chlorine over 70.90 gram chlorine. The gram and gram cancels out, and then we have 2.62 mole chlorine. Okay, so this up to here, you know how to do this. So now this is, let me erase this, or you can just write it here in another color. So we have how much? 4.23 mole of aluminum. So we have 4.23 mole of aluminum, and we have 2.62 mole of chlorine. Okay, I just wrote these numbers over here so that it's easy for us to look at. So now we need to figure out which one is a limiting reactant. So what do we do? So if we start with 4.23 mole of aluminum, then how much chlorine do you think we will need? And how do that we figure that out? We figure that out by, we need a molar ratio. We'll use the molar ratio to convert this aluminum, mole of aluminum, to mole of chlorine. Make sense? Because we need to compare. So if I convert, how do I convert? So convert aluminum, mole of aluminum to mole of chlorine, okay? So to convert to mole of chlorine, what do I need to do?
To find the ratio.
Yeah, the ratio, right? So we have 2 aluminum is equal to 3 chlorine. So 2 mole aluminum over 3 mole chlorine. So we can use either way, whichever we need, we can use it that way. So which way are we going to use in this case? To convert 2 mole of chlorine, which one do I put on the top? 3 mole of chlorine or 1 mole of aluminum? Which one?
On the top, it would be the aluminum.
We're converting to aluminum, chlorine.
So it would be chlorine, but why?
Because we are converting, we are trying to figure out if we use this much mole of aluminum, how many moles of chlorine will be formed? That's what we're going to figure. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Oh, okay, so because we're trying to figure out chlorine, then the chlorine will go on top.
The top.
Okay.
Because we need to know how many moles of chlorine will be formed with this much mole of aluminum. So 2 mole chlorine. So what is the answer? It is 6.35 mole chlorine. Okay? I'm going to do both first. Now we're going to convert chlorine to mole of aluminum. So if we have 2.62 mole of chlorine, now we need to figure out how much aluminum will be formed. So to find out how much aluminum will be formed, we need to write what? Oops. Wait a minute, sorry. So how can we do? We can just flip this, yes? So the aluminum goes on the top and 3 mole chlorines is in the bottom, because in this case, this canceled out, in this case, this canceled out. And then we have 1.75 mole aluminum. Make sense? Is it clear up to here? Okay, now we need to figure out which one is the limiting reagent. And for that, how do we do it? So look at this. 4.23 mole of aluminum needs how much chlorine? How much chlorine does it need? If we use this much mole of aluminum, how much of chlorine do you think we will need? 6.35 mole of chlorine, right?
Yes.
Do we have 6.35 mole of chlorine?
No. So
no.
Then what do you just multiply?
So, but if we use this much of chlorine, which is this, we need how much of aluminum? 1.75 mole, right?
Right.
Do we have 1.75 mole of aluminum?
No. Yes.
Yes, we have more than that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? So
Yes.
which one do you think is a limiting reactant?
The limiting reactor would be aluminum.
So let's go back again. So this much of aluminum is here. With this much of aluminum, it can give 6.35 mole of chlorine. Do we have that much of chlorine? No, I mean, not give, I mean needs, okay? Sorry, I'm saying give. It's needs, correct? That's why you got
Yes.
confused. I'm
Yes.
sorry about that. So if that much of aluminum is used, then how much chlorine do we need? We need that much of chlorine for that reaction to happen,
That's 6 point.
right? And do we have that much of chlorine to be used?
No.
We don't. But if we use that much of chlorine, we only need 1.75 mole of aluminum. Do we have that much of aluminum?
Yes.
Yes. We have more than that.
Yeah.
Which one is more? Aluminum of chlorine?
Chlorine. No, aluminum is more, obviously.
Okay, aluminum. So is this clear for all of you? Can anybody say yes, few of you? Because this is so important to understand.
It's slowly getting there as well.
Yeah, and the rest of you, class? Is it making sense for you? Okay. So that means this is the limiting reactant. Chlorine is not the whole thing. Erase this. This chlorine is the limiting reactant because we do not have that much of chlorine. But we have lots of aluminum. We just need this much aluminum and we have that much aluminum. Make sense? Yes. So to calculate the excess of aluminum, what do we do? This is how much we have, 4.23 minus, we're going to use only 1.75. So that's going to be your excess of aluminum, right? Why this is excess? Because in this reaction, to figure out how much of aluminum chloride is formed, which one do you use? Are you going to use aluminum or are you going to use chlorine? Which one are you going to use to figure out the product, how much product is formed? You're going to use the limiting reactant because that is going to be used up. Doesn't matter if you have more aluminum there, because if the chlorine is not there to react, then aluminum chloride will not form. So how much of the aluminum chloride will be formed depends on what? The amount of chlorine. Make sense? Because chlorine is a limiting reactant. So that means all of these chlorine will be used up and only this much of aluminum will be used up and the rest will just remain. It's not going to react because there is no chlorine. It's just going to sit there as aluminum. So if you subtract this from that, then you will find the excess of aluminum which will remain there. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so now our next, so that's how you find the excess, okay? So that's how you find which is the limiting reactant. Now you need to find how much of aluminum chloride is formed. So what are you going to do now? So we are going to use the chlorine then. So you're going to use 2.62 mole chlorine. Then you're going to use a balanced chemical equation to find the ratio, how much of So 3 mole of chlorine produces how many moles of aluminum chloride? 2 moles, yes?
Yes.
So you are now doing a stoichiometry, going from 1 mole to another mole, jumping from one kind of mole to a second kind of mole. So it's 2 mole aluminum chloride. This and this gets canceled, and now you have mole. You need to find the mass in gram. What do? Is you're going to use a molar mass, which is 133.33 gram of AlCl3 over 1 mole of aluminum chloride. Mole and mole cancels out, and now you have 2.62 times 2 times 1.33.33 gram over 3 gram of aluminum chloride. So this is just a stoichiometry to get to this step. Which one we will be using? We need to figure out the limiting reactant. And after you know the limiting reactant, it is the same stoichiometry that you will do.